Bernie Madoff's days of public shoving may be over in a matter of hours. The man suspected of scamming investors out of $50 billion has a bail hearing tomorrow. He's been allowed to live in his multi-million-dollar apartment until now, but tomorrow prosecutors are going to argue he should be put behind bars until trial. Turns out, when he was arrested, after he was arrested, Madoff had checks totaling $173 million in his desk, where they found those after he was arrested, part of the $300 million stash he was allegedly trying to conceal from the government. They also say he's been mailing more than $1 million in watches and jewelry to his relatives. The misery Madoff is accused of masterminding has destroyed lives, not just financial destruction. A businessman who lost a fortune in the alleged Ponzi scheme has killed himself already. In recent days, there have been reports of other suicides tied to the economic crisis. And as the hard times linger, suicides by the super rich and by the not so rich may continue. Up close tonight, here's Tom Foreman.
A German billionaire leaps in front of a train. A Chicago real estate mogul apparently shoots himself. A French investor takes his own life, too. The crashing economy, even for the uber wealthy, is taking a terrible toll. Each of the victims was still worth a fortune when he died. But James Gottfirst, who studies the psychology of money, says our wealth often defines who we are.
So if you're used to having $1 billion, and you have your charities, and you have your lifestyle, and your retirement and your foundation built on $1 billion, and then suddenly in a few months it goes to 500 million, psychologically the amount of loss is huge, even though 99% of us plus would be very happy with what's left.
Police in Chicago don't know if monetary losses led to Stephen Good's apparent suicide. He was one of the city's most successful realtors before he drove his Jaguar into a wildlife preserve where police believe he shot himself. But recently he was talking about the awful economy, and he's not alone. The hotlines at Crisis Link in Virginia are ringing constantly with people under financial stress, including, they say, plenty of millionaires. Potential suicide calls have risen 124%, according to Marshall Ellis.
Are you hearing mainly from people who are very poor and struggling, or mainly from middle-class people? Are you hearing from rich people? Who?
It's affecting people across spectrums and income ranges.
Across continents, too. Though he was still worth a fortune himself, that French investment manager took his life after he steered more than $1 billion into the alleged fraud scheme of Bernie Madoff. An associate told a French paper the man could not bear the scandal. Sometimes that's just the way it is for the very rich, says Gottfirst.
And their self-esteem or identity would be more wrapped into being highly wealthy.
Being hopeful is hard, but both psychologists and economists say everyone must try. After all, that German billionaire who jumped into the train, despite his billions in losses, he was still one of the 100 richest men on the planet, still worth billions. And there is this. 2 days later, banks bailed out his failing companies. Tom Foreman, CNN, Washington.
Well, this weekend, inside the alleged scam of the century, the Ponzi scheme that shook Wall Street. How did Madoff allegedly pull it off? Secrets